Okay, so once again you are most welcome to this channel. We are back in style. This time around we are dealing with the mathematics, and of course we are in for the mock papers as requested by some students and the right teachers. So we are in for Jjeb. We are in for it, and without wasting time, we are starting off with item 1 of mathematics. Please, we simply remind you that you check in the playlist. We have very many videos which can at least bring an impact as far as the new curriculum is concerned. Then also we simply call for your subscription, because it is the only way you can at least appreciate us for the work we are doing. Yes, so don't hesitate to subscribe such that for anything new we put up you are notified. Okay, once again, my name is Mtanda Samir. Please, for any concern or anything, you can reach out to my Airtel number. It's just right there. You hit my inbox on WhatsApp. Yeah, please, I kindly apologize in advance. I don't always get back to some people. Always write to me. Please just know that in a day almost I receive over 50 texts from different people. So well, I can't just have the time to really read through and respond. Then also, sometimes for whoever asks for something, fine, you may ask for some stuff, but just know that the work is always on our laptops and the computers. So most times I carry my mobile phone, of course, where I have my WhatsApp, and I may not always have the doc you may be asking for, and just I don't know how you really feel in the long run if I've not been able to provide, because I know if I tell you that I don't have it at that moment, someone will now be like, I think this man is just deceiving us. Okay, so I can't apologize to whoever maybe felt offended, or anyway, someone who was not really happy with my. That's not me, and that's not how I behave. But please, I'm just requesting you actually to kindly forgive me on that part. But anyway, I think we shall get everything corrected. Of course, they say, okay, mistakes are human. Anyway, without wasting time, let's get there. All right, good. So once again, we remind you to subscribe, please. Just like I've been calling upon your support to subscribe. Yes. Okay. Sooner or later, as the platform of Teacher Mtanda. Alright, so we chose to at least have this channel limited to whoever has not subscribed. But again, guess what? Some people are just like, okay, wait for the end of this year, like after the senior fours are done with exams, that's when you can now start off with that, because we want to have this channel in a way that whoever has not subscribed will have to first of all pay to access the content here. Look into that. Paying your money just for something you have been accessing for free. Just a simple subscription. Don't miss out. Make sure you subscribe, like, share, and also leave a comment. Anyway, I appreciate. Please, okay, there is I think he's a student. I'm just forgetting the school. Is it Nagalama? I'm forgetting, but I think it's called Seboa, something of the sort. That's the name I see. Please, I really appreciate the comments you bring about. We have Jaffa Pro. Anyway, I think that's the nickname. So there are very many, but just know I can't just break down all your names right here. But I'm really very grateful of what you do, and I'm really very happy. I can't apologize for whoever I've not been able to turn up to. As far as replies are concerned, I've already explained how that is. Okay, most of the work, the documents some of you ask for, are always on the laptop, and then I have to really get back. Of course, I may be very many kilometers away from the laptop, and now someone tells you have to bring it right now. Anyway, I apologize. So without wasting time, here we go. Alright, now we are in for UC Jjeb Math item 1 as requested by a certain student whom I will not disclose here, but of course we just go through. Either way, we all benefit. Okay. Alright, so without wasting time, let's start the saying. John has 4 adopted children at his home, whom he takes care of. Oh, adopted? Anyway, he wants them to share 520,000 shillings, some good cash, as their term to pocket money in the ratio of their ages. Alright, they are aged 5, 10, 12, and 13 years respectively. Alright, good. He deposits their school fees in 3 installments with 60% as the first installment at the beginning of term, 2/3 of the remaining amount by VD, and the rest of the fees balance amounting to shillings 160,000 at the end of term. Okay, here we go. He also makes a follow-up visits at the school after 21 days and also attends weekly meetings at his workplace. Okay, go on. So on 11th May 2025, they had a meeting, and it was when he visited school. Alright, good. So I'm concerned parent here, I guess. So I'm concerned parent, by the way. Okay. So task is the same. Determine how much pocket money will each child get. Part B. Determine the amount paid for a child in the first installment. Roman number 2, second installment. Part C. When is he likely to have a meeting and a follow-up visit at the same time? Alright, good. So let's start off with our part A, which says that determine how much pocket money will each child get. Okay, let's get to that, about pocket money and sharing. Of course, they gave us these details here. And I want us to use them. So I think here we shall think of their ages are just right here. So I think we have the 5. Okay, we have a 5 to 10. We have to 12 and also to 13. That's the ratio. Now maybe this one being the first child, this one being the second child, this one being the third child, this one being the fourth child. Okay, here we go. Now, whenever you think about ratios and you are going to share, then you must always think about what we call total ratio. In fact, what we call total ratio. Okay, let's get into that. So total ratio here will be the 5 plus the 10 plus the 12 plus the 13, like that. And I think when you add the whole sum will give you 40. Now it means that to get what the first child got, this one with the 5, you make that 5 over the total ratio, which is 40, times how much were they sharing. They were sharing 520,000 shillings, so times 520,000 shillings. Okay, then here we come up with a certain amount right there. We shall do the same to this, do the same to this, do the same to this, and with that we shall be able to get what each child was able to receive for pocket money and also in a longer run. Let's go and look into this very fast. Okay, good. So we are answering part A. So we all know that the amount to be shared was 520,000 shillings. Please, you always don't forget to put the units there. 520,000 shillings. The next, we had the ratio of their ages, so we need total ratio here. So total ratio shall say 5 plus 10 plus 12 plus 13, which will finally give us 40. Okay, we showed that calculation back there. Now let's start off with first child. Now first child is this one here. I'll get some ink here. First child is this one with 5, so you say 5 over 40, we have it right here, times what they are sharing, the 520,000, then you get 65,000 shillings. Okay, next you go to second child, who will be 10 over 40 times 520,000, and that will give us 130,000. This is some good cash indeed. Okay, so next third child, you have a 12 over 40 times the 510,000, the one they're sharing, we shall get 156,000 just right there. Please, here you multiply this on a calculator. When you multiply this, you get that. When you multiply this together, you get that. When you multiply this, you get that. Finally, let's go to the fourth child. Here we go. We shall say a 13 over 40 times a 520,000. Then you shall get 169,000. When you apply all these together, you come up with that sum just right there. Okay, now we have what each child got. Now, but remember, as far as new curriculum is concerned, we must always give a conclusion or a backup statement, in a backup statement which talks about the answers you have, like we have this, we have that, we have that, and we have that. So we must bring it in statement format. Please, here as a student, my advice is use your simple English to bring about this conclusion here. Okay, because I know maybe someone think about, okay, maybe it is a certain teacher, it's only the teacher who can give us a rightful conclusions. Not really. Okay, so here we go. Now we shall say that according to their ages, each child gets shillings 65,000. Have it there. Okay, 130,000, 156,000, and 169,000 shillings respectively as pocket money. Now the word respective means that this is for the first, this is for the second, this is for the third, and lastly is for the fourth. We have part A successfully solved. Please, I advise you to watch this video to the end. That's my humble appeal. Anyway, because it's not good to live with what we call regrets. What if when something of the kind maybe appears? Yeah, what if when? Anyway, no one knows, of course. And by the way, a disclaimer again is that anyway, I'm not going to that. So let's just, I think, proceed. Now part A done, let's go to part B. We go there. So part B, here we are. Now part B, they're telling us that somebody here. So they're saying determine the amount paid for a child in the first installment, second installment. Now I think that the scenario is talking about installment. Now we go back to the scenario and we read that part which talks about installments. All right, let's get to this. Okay, now to begin with, look at this. Here we go. They're saying he deposits their school fees in 3 installments. You see that? So now if it is 3 installments, what must you think of? Allow me use this area here. If it is 3 installments, allow me use this area here like this. Now this is the, I mean the first, and this is the second, and this is the third installment to begin with. So this is the first, and of course I'll write there, and this is the second. I'll have that space there. Now good. Now let's read. They're saying with installments with 60% as their first, with 60% as their first installment. Now, much as this one here is a percentage, you all know that this 60% can become a 60 over 100. So, what does it mean? You can have this reduced. Cancel 0, cancel 0. Shall you have 6 over 10? When you divide by 2, you get a 3. When you divide by 2 down, you get a 5. Implying that for the first time here, we must have 3 over 5. Please, the first installment is 60%, which gives us a 3 over 5 just right here. I've explained. Now we proceed. They're saying that is the beginning of term. That's the first installment. Now 2 over 3 of. Now this word of in fractions means multiplication. Take note of the remaining amount. You see that? Now what does remaining mean? Remaining mean we have maybe subtracted something, but you all know that the total ratio for this area, this and this total fraction is actually must give us a 1. It means that if you have used the 3 over 5 in the first case, so let's try to get the remaining. By the way, let's try to get the remaining amount. Remaining amount will be equal to, you get that 1 minus what we have here in the first case here, minus a 3 over 5. We get the remaining amount. And of course, when you subtract here, the remaining amount, please, the remaining amount here will be, okay, simply a 3. Is that so? So when you subtract, by the way, if you divide here, I think, okay, so okay, so we proceed. Now when you subtract here, realize that here we shall say a 1 minus 3 over 5, and that will simply give us, okay, that will simply give us a 2 over 5, if you can really look into that. Now this one is the remaining fraction, but they say in the question that now since this was for the first, look, the 60% was the first installment. Now to get the second installment is 2 over 3 of the remaining amount by VD. VD is the second installment, you all know that, because VD comes before end of term. So we have the first installment is 60, second installment is for VD, and then at the end of term maybe. Okay, now they're saying for this second installment it must be 2 over 3 of the remaining, but the remaining is how much? Is 2 over 5. So I think that 2 over 3 times the remaining, which is 2 over 5. As simple as that. Then what are we going to get? We shall get a 4 over 15. And that is the answer. That is the answer for this part. So we now have a fraction. For this first part, it is this. And for the second part, the fraction is just here, 4 over 15. I don't know whether you're looking into that. Now that is it. Now we proceed as saying, and the rest of the fees balance amounting to 160. Now they're giving us the amount 160,000. but we don't have a fraction, so we need a fraction here too. We need a fraction here too. And how shall we do that? Fraction here too will be, you get the total fraction, which is always 1 minus, now we have this plus this. Remember, when you add what is here plus this, the total fraction you get is a 1. So shall I say 1 minus what we have, the 3 over 5 in the, okay, the 3 over, oh sorry, the 3 over 5 in the first, okay, installment, plus the 4 over 15 in the second installment, like that. Okay, now when you subtract there, if you try to add up, please, this will simply give you a 2 over 15. Now we can use this 2 over 15 versus what they paid in this third installment to get the total fees. Then we shall use the total fees to get the installments amount paid in the first installment and second installment. All right, good. And without wasting time, I think let us get there. Okay, good. So let us get there. We're going to see the way forward. Okay, so here we go. All right. Okay, so in this context, we shall begin by drawing our table. Let's get there. So we get our table drawn first of all to get this analyzed. But remember, I have already hinted on what we are going to really do just right here. Those partitions will tell us the first, second, and third installment. We look into it. Okay, very good. So we go there. All right, so now to begin with, we have the first installment, and then also in the next part we have the second installment, and lastly second installment, you can call it 3D, and lastly we have the third installment, just right like that. Now remember, in the first installment we had this, we had a 60%, okay, a 60%, which is in simple terms equivalent to that. Get some red ink here, maybe. Okay, now look at this. This 60% is same as this. You must convert into fraction format. Then when you reduce, you get 3 over 5. Now that will be the fraction. Red ink here. Now that will be the fraction in this first installment there. But again, remember that here in the second part they told us that 2 over 3 of the remaining amount by VD, meaning that there must be 2 over 3 of the remaining. Now remaining means that without this, what you should know is that once you add what is here plus what is here plus what is there, the total we get is a 1. By the way, you must bear that in mind. The total we get is a 1, meaning that here they must multiply to get what is for this area here second. You must say 2 over 3 of means multiplication of the remaining. How shall I get the remaining? If this is 3 out of 5, sorry, if this is, okay, if this is 3, okay, if this is 3 over 5, okay, then what are you going to do? This is 3 over 5, and we want to get what is here. They're saying that of the remaining. Now the remaining will be for here and there. So how shall we get the remaining? Let's go into that. So we shall say that the remaining is simply equal to the 1 minus the, actually this is meant to be 3, please take note, this is meant to be 3 over 5 minus 3 over 5, that's 3 over 5, please, I'm changing that already. So 3 over 5, so when you subtract, what shall we get? The remaining fraction. The remaining fraction will be equal to 3 over 5. In simple, it's equal, will be equal to 2 over 5 actually when you subtract, right just there. Let's get this corrected. Okay, good. So you realize that here, what you're going to have in simple terms is we now have this one. Okay, we now have this. Look, we now have the remaining fraction. Now this 2 over 5, I'll write it here for you. 2 over 5, just know that it has part of that, like there, and it has part of this, right there. But I've told you something that to get for this part only, you get 2 over 3 of the remaining, which is the 2 over 5. You multiply, of means multiplication, then you get the part for only, the fraction for only second installment. And I think, let's go to that. Here we shall say a 2 over 3 times a 2 over 5. I hope you can really make a follow up there. And then we apply these two guys here. When you apply these two guys here, you'll get 2 times 2 will give us a 4, and the 3 times 5 will give us a 15. So the fraction for only second installment is 4 over 15. The fraction for only first installment is a 3 over 5, like that. Now, don't you think we can get the fraction here Don't you think I get the fraction there? Because we have this fraction here, we have this fraction here, but total fraction is 1. We can as well get the fraction for this area. But now we shall say, before we do that, we must get total fraction, meaning that we are going to add this plus this. We get them added to get total fraction. Let's do it here. So we shall say total fraction equals to a 2 over 5, actually a 3 over 5. Okay, the 3 over 5 is just right here, the one for this area, and the 4 over 15 is the one right just here. We get total fraction, then we know how much will remain for that third installment. So we shall now say total fraction now gives us a 13 over 15. Yes, but remember we are fighting hard to see how much is the fraction for the third installment alone, because you must look here. This is the fraction for the first installment, fraction for second installment. How shall we get done for third? We have gotten the total by adding these two, and that total we have it just right here. So we shall say, how shall we get the installment for only that part? We shall now say this will be equal to remaining fraction equals to a 1 minus the total fraction. This 13 here is the fraction for this area, and this one. 1 minus that fraction will give us a fraction strictly for third installment. That's our aim here. And then here we shall say the remaining fraction is equal to a 2 over 15. Okay, that's really good. And since we have gotten there, now since you have the fraction, look, we have the fraction for this area, it is that. We have the fraction for this area, it is that. We have the fraction for this area, it is that. Now we need to get the total. But remember, from the question we had this. They were telling us that from the question that the rest of the fees balance amounting to shillings 160,000, okay, at the end of term, meaning that the balance will be paid at the end of term, which is more like our third installment. Now we need the total fees, because the question was asking us how much they deposit in the second installment, how much they deposit in the first installment. But since we have their fractions, once you get the total, this fraction times the total gives us what first installment gave us. This fraction times total fees gives us what this installment, okay, contributed as far as the fees is concerned. So now we shall say that let x be the total fees. Yeah, I think that's really good. Then we shall say that, remember that a 2 over 15, this fraction here times the total, gives us the 600,000 I've talked about here. Of course, you can really see, if you really had the total fees times this fraction for third installment, you will multiply them, get 160. But again, remember, you have said that let the total fees be letter x. So in the place of this, you shall put letter x. Let's do that. So shall say 2 over 5 times x is equal to 160,000. Okay, still, let's move and see what will be our value of x. To begin with, we shall multiply both sides by 15. Here, times the 15. You all know that mathematics, even this side times the 15. Yeah, you already see that this 15 will cancel with that and shall remain with 2x. So here we go. So shall say we are multiplying both sides by 15, multiplying both sides by 15. This 15 cancels and we shall remain with 2x equals to, okay, 2,400,000 actually. So we want the value of x alone. So dividing both sides by 2, we shall now have the value of x as 1,200,000, and that will be our value of x. In fact, the total fees. Now, since you have this times this fraction, you get the one for first installment. You have this one times the fraction for second installment, you get the amount used right there. Okay, without wasting time, let's go and see that in the next step. So to begin with, remember it was 1,200,000. So in the first installment, you shall say the 60, first installment had 60%, which meant that a 60 over 100 times 1,200,000 shall get 720,000 shillings. Okay, again we shall say he deposited, we conclude, so he deposits shillings 720,000 in the first installment. We got the second installment, which will be, all right, okay, we shall say a 4 over 15 times a 1,200,000, and that will give us a 320,000. So meaning when you multiply this, you come up with that. When you multiply, okay, this, you come up with that. And of course, there we are. All right, good. Now let's give a conclusion straight away. Now we shall say that he deposits shillings 310,000 in the second installment, and still this gets our part B of this question covered fully. Okay, if you have any question or suggestion, please make sure you leave a comment and maybe I will get back to you. Now with that, we have part B answered. Let's go to our part C to begin with. Now our part C says, let's go there. So our part is here, like the saying. When is he likely to have a meeting and a follow-up visit at the same time? By the way, meeting, follow-up visit at the same time. What must we do? Let's go and look into this. Now, by analysis, you really see that we have used this part here in the question to answer part B. We have used this part here to answer part A. Now, this part here will give us part C. Let's go. Listen. He also makes a follow-up visits at school every after. Now, whenever you see this word here, every after, then always think about LCM. Please, simple reminder, whenever you see that statement there, every after, then think about lowest common multiple. Okay, without wasting time. Now, I think that really brings something into your head. Whenever you see the word every after, then think about LCM. Here we go. Now, every after 21 days, we shall underline that. Then, and also attends weekly meetings. Now, look at this word weekly. Weekly meetings mean that it's repetitive. After this week, again, another week you have a meeting, the next week you have a meeting, so it is weekly. Now, this word weekly means what? Now, this word weekly means every, I'll write for you, every after, by the way, a week has how many days? 7. So, that word weekly means every after 7 days. It was a bit hidden, don't know if they can really see that. So, every weekly means every after 7 days. Of course, a week has 7 days, mean that every after 7 days and every after 21 days, they always have a meeting. Now what you're going to do, you will get the LCM of these 7 days and the 21 days. You get the LCM straight away, like this. We have a 21 there, we have a 7 right here. Maybe you can start with the 3. Let's go and look into that. Let me hope that really has made some sense. And of course, please look into the channel. We have very many questions as far as mathematics is concerned, physics and chemistry. Look into there, maybe you'll find some more important scenarios which will at least impact your performance if you're a student and also a teacher as well, of course, to enhance your vision with your students. Without wasting time, let's go there and see how we get this sort. Okay, in part C, here we go. Now in part C, we tell you that we remind you this statement that every after 21 days and also attends weekly meetings, which in the bracket we are now remind you that weekly meetings means after every 7 days. Really see that. Okay, now it means that our area of concentration in this context, our area of concentration is a 21, okay, and a 7 days, which means weekly meetings, just like that. Okay, now simple reminder, shall I tell you that that means that I can get LCM of 21 and 7 like that. All right, now we go in for our LCM. But as those lines are coming about, please, whenever you talk about LCM, please, you must be knowing, whenever you talk about LCM, you must be knowing the calendar. The calendar, I mean, how many days are in May? Okay, how many days are in June? And then, how many days are in February? Yeah, you must always look into that. You memorize the calendar. And maybe just to give a simple intro on how you can memorize the calendar, just imagine this is your knuckle, this is your hands, maybe your hands, your knuckles. I don't know, this really makes some sense. Now on top of a knuckle like this is that month is maybe it has 31 days. Now the one which is in between the two knuckles there is always below 30. It is either 30 or 28, but you all know that it is only February which has 28 or 29 days. The rest have 30. So if it is below the knuckles, when you fold your, okay, more like if you're going to box someone, I'm sorry to use that offensive language, but when you look at your knuckles at the back, I hope you know the knuckles, like these swellings of your hand, okay, like this, when you have folded your hand, I think that's what you see. Now the month on top here has 31. The month below this line here between two knuckles has either 30 or 29, but 29 and 28 are for February, so it means that all other months which are between this knuckle are 30 days. I don't know if they can really look into that. Now let's go in for this. Now here what you're going to do is LCM of 21 and 7. Let's get here. So 21 and 7, which number are you going to use to reduce? We shall use, I think, a 3. And when you try to look into this, we shall now get that. Again, we shall use 7 to give us a 1 and 1. Now it means that here it meant that a 21 divided by 3, it gave us a 7, but a 7 divided by 3, it can't go, so you bring it back again. Which number can reduce them? 7. 7 divided by 7, you get a 1, and 7 divided by 7 again, you get a 1. Once you get a 1, in every case, you terminate or you stop there. LCM is simply a product of these two prime numbers here. So we shall say LCM is equal to 3 times 7, which will give us a 21. But what does that one mean here? What does that one mean this story? These are, of course, days. By the way, now we shall use this to get the date. Now, remember the other last date when they did the meeting was on 11th May, of course, 2025. Now, to you, what do you think? By the way, what do you think about this? Like, count 21 days from 11th May. When again do you think they're going to do a meeting? 21 days from this 11th May. That's what I told you, that you need to be knowing much about a calendar. Like in here, you must be knowing May has how many days? Of course, 31. May has 31 days. Okay. Maybe to leave that logical way of reasoning, we can just go direct here. We say, in simple terms, what we're going to do is that we shall first of all remind ourselves of, okay, they last did what? They last met when? Okay. They last had a meeting on 11th May 2025. That's when they last had a meeting. Now what you do, you get this date like this. So you come and say this date, which is 11th, plus LCM. That's what we do. All right. Now you get your total. The total you get here, you now say the number of months in May minus 30. The total minus the number of months in May. I think, let me just do it for here. Right, I want to see it. So shall I say that? The 11 times 21. Yes. The 11 is the one, the date given to you in the question, and this 21 is our LCM, and that's what we're getting is 32 days. But this one, look, this one here is May, and if this one here is May has how many 30 days? It has 31. So you come and say that 32 minus 31. The answer you get will be the date, but of course in the next month. If it is May, we are now moving to June. All right, good. So here we are. We subtract. Shall now say that, but May has 31 days. Just to remind you, maybe. Now we shall say, so 32 minus 31 is equal to 1. Please, a reminder, 32 is the total after adding the LCM with the date given to us, and 31 is the number of days in May. But it's subject to get 1. But what does that 1 mean? 1 means the first of the next month from May, that will be June, then 2025. Let's get this concluded. Here we go. So it will be 1st of June 2025. I hope that really makes some sense. Please, we remind you that in the playlist we have the UNEB paper of last year discussed. The UCE UNEB mathematics, we discussed it. You check in the playlist. Okay, it is also provided there. Of course, we have our answer, and of course I know by just saying that this is how your face is, you must be happy and smiling. Here we go. Summarize. So we said he will have both the meeting and a follow-up visit. He will have both the meeting and a follow-up visit after 21 days on 1st June 2025. Okay, I can now say thank you for watching. May God bless you. I sign out.